changes at all. 'Cause in the dark there are no strangers, there are no strangers at all. I was a lost boy when I met you. I was a lost boy, I was a lost boy. I was a lost boy when I met you. I was a lost boy, I was a lost boy. I was a lost boy. There are no strangers. I was a lost boy, I was a lost boy. I was a lost boy when I met you. I was a lost boy, I was a lost boy. I was a lost boy. There are no strangers.
Alrighty, everyone, can you guys hear me good? Let's go ahead and get a quick mic check on the live stream. Feels good to be back doing the live streams again. Glad that you guys not only like the music but also the the new live stream intermission screen. That'd be quite fitting. I always find these random spurs of time. I made it back before I left for my trip for July, but I always find these random spurs of time where previously I'm complaining that I don't have time during the day to do certain things, yet I find a good amount of time to do a 40-minute Photoshop. Let's see. Michelle, thank you very much for the haircut compliments. I knew it was overdue. People were giving me crap about it, and I was like, so I was in, before we dive into the update, I'll talk a little bit about that. Tell me if the music as well is too loud. I'll adjust that if you guys want me to. But it was so funny. I was walking through the streets of Bangkok, and we were going around eating, at some of the street food there. And lo and behold, in this huge street food area, they have all these different stores and everything. And then they have, in this one small area, they have two different barber shops there that are literally stand-up shops with people cutting people's hair. And I was like, you know what? Like 200 baht, which is the currency there, it's to translate that, it's 30 baht is $1. I was like, less than $10 for a haircut, and these people were giving really nice haircuts. I was like, you know what, I might as well get one, and got it before I did my presentation and stuff. So glad people like the haircut. Let's see here. David, the song that was playing was the Midnight, was it Lost Boy, I think? Yeah, I think it might be here on the side. Yeah, I was a lot, yeah, that's the whole lyrics, I was a Lost Boy, yeah. Is the stream coming in clear, everyone? Just want to make sure. Alright, we'll dive into it just a sec. Just want to make sure everything's good, guys. Frank, I can tell you the jet lag's still hitting me. I pretty much went to bed last night at like 4 p.m. and I woke up at like 1 or 2 this morning, so yeah. Alright, well guys, thank you for showing the love. I appreciate you guys embracing me as I've come back after, not being as active or not doing a live stream for over a month. It feels good. Anyways, want to dive into this, talk about a few different things, and along with that as well, mostly just answer some questions for you guys. I'm thinking about doing like an hour long live stream tonight, an hour and a half maybe. So let's dive right into it. We got a few hundred of you here. Generally speaking, not too much has changed in the market at the moment. Still experiencing the general trend that we saw earlier today. In the daily update, we talked a little bit about some things in relations to the Bitcoin ETF craze. Obviously, that's been taking the headlines over the past few weeks. And it's kind of funny. It made me kind of reflect over the past day or two. I was like, yeah, it's interesting. We were talking about Bitcoin ETFs like months ago, and now it's like this huge buzzword topic. And I don't want to overflood and talk about it just like everyone else is, guys. It's become a little too mainstream at this point. It's something that's going to take time. But it'll be interesting to see what happens around August and September when some of these ETF proposals get addressed by the SEC. But going towards more price and everything, we're doing exactly what we need to see with Bitcoin, holding around 7,600 at the moment. We bounced off of 7,500 off the line of resistance, which we discussed, and that is extremely healthy in regards to the longer term technical trend. And along with that as well, we started to see altcoins rebound as well. So markets are at least holding with Bitcoin, if not moving a little bit higher. Again, not too much serious downside action, but again, alts definitely feeling more pain than what Bitcoin is feeling at the moment. I think that's the general trend here we're going to see for quite some time. Again, the altcoin cycle doesn't tend to come until August. This is when, we're in August right now, so we're close. Your patience might pay off, but we tend to see. It was actually really interesting. I saw Thomas Lee. I got to meet him, actually, the guy who's always on CNBC, as you all probably know. He's the leader of, I think, one of the heads over at Fundstrat. But Tom Lee had done in his presentation, he showed, I think, a cycle of when altcoins perform. And it's usually during August is when we see this. And he's making a point about when we can look for the next bull run. And he had averaged pretty much all the years together, which was a really, really interesting kind of analysis of taking, what's the best time to, expect altcoins to make their move. And we talked about this with Ripple, with NEM, with Verge and Tron. I mean, these things move in very short time frames, and they move very fast. But again, in the time periods excluding that, you're most likely going to be losing. It's the same with Bitcoin in its early days. If you weren't holding Bitcoin, and I think Tom was mentioning this in his presentation, if you weren't holding it 15 days out of the year, you'd be down 25% every year on Bitcoin. And we see this with stores of value as they get built up over time. Daniel, for MPXS, no, I hadn't heard anything about it personally overseas when I traveled, but that meaning that in a bad way. There's so many projects out there. Excuse me. It's just there's a variety of cryptocurrencies. Most of them out there have been talking about the bigger players like EOS and Bitcoin and Litecoin and things like that. You don't hear too much specific talk in other countries. All right, before I dive into everything, I'll go ahead and answer some questions. Austin Kelly, Nick, what do you think the chances are of the U.S. government coming down on cryptocurrencies if they see people take money out of the stock market and put it into cryptos if we get a mini recession? Austin, if they wanted to suppress cryptos in any way, they would have done it by now, but I don't think you're going to see it. Even in a traditional market, the fact of the matter is the government wants you to pay taxes, and they will make sure you pay taxes on crypto gains. And second off, the financial sector just wants to make money off of transactions and fees. They don't really mind if that money's in assets or in gold, so long as it's under their trading exchanges. So, for example, it'd be like Binance going up tomorrow and diving into different financial assets. If people want to trade it and it's generating them revenue, they're going to probably do it. So in that case, I don't think the government would suppress it that much. But again, I think governments and central banks more specifically and global financiers, they really do fear people figuring out how powerful cryptocurrencies are. I think they want to keep it as a speculative asset, which again is why I try not to always just focus on price action. I think it's going to lure a lot of people into the space and bring a lot of interest, but I think the real tech is going to capture people, get them down the rabbit hole of blockchain and decentralization in cryptocurrencies. Jamie, yes, definitely mentioning our Discord here. If you guys haven't already, join our Discord, type in !Discord. If the link doesn't work, I can actually drop one in the description real quick. I saw on Patreon my link wasn't working, so I'm going to go ahead and drop one in here for you guys if you would like to join the Discord and get the server populated a little bit. Let's go ahead and get a little invite link here. I'll go ahead and make sure it expires never. Generate new link, copy. Alrighty. So you guys can go ahead and join there once you get the link to the Discord. I'll hop in there in a little bit later. Maybe we'll take some questions over voice channel. But one thing I wanted to talk about here, I see a lot of people mentioning Nano here, and it's funny probably. Oh, the stream's lagging a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you for pointing that out. Let me close out some tabs here, maybe even turn the quality down on the music. There we go. All right, yeah. Well, anyways, let me know if it keeps interrupting, guys. Looks like the feed's coming through good right now. But I wanted to spend some time. I read a really interesting article here back just a few days ago where Kroger was weighing in on expanding a Visa ban. This is really interesting stuff. So for those of you who don't know, credit card companies like Visa, MasterCard, American Express, these companies charge a very hefty fee for every transaction. So, for example, if you were to go to a retail store like Kroger in America, this is, I think, the third largest grocery retailer in the world, if I'm correct, or if not in the U.S. Kroger's a pretty big brand. I have Kroger around me, so, pretty close by. But anyways, Kroger, just like any other retailer out there, whether it's a restaurant or a retail store where you're buying clothes, or if you're buying larger appliances, or if you're buying groceries, whatever you're buying, you have to go through some kind of a retailer. And when you're making a transaction with your credit card in most cases, or debit card, they're going to have to pay a fee for it. It's something that's hidden. It's almost like a little tax that you don't see that gets factored into the cost of the good. And this is extra money that stores could be making. $90 billion that they pay every year just when you're swiping that card, that gets sucked out of potential profit, or revenue still factored in, but it's the cost that they could deduct in the future. And this is what's led a lot of people talking about cryptocurrencies. It's the same with remittance payments. These financial institutions are middlemen, right? They're charging for a service that they're providing, because right now we depend on those systems. We depend on these centralized institutions. And Visa and MasterCard provide a great service. It's not something to be negative about. But again, we've been talking about looking for cryptocurrencies that are feeless, that don't charge transactions, or don't require a transaction fee to operate. And along with that as well, are instantaneous or quick. And again, one play that just keeps coming to my mind, and I just checked the price recently. I had recently stacked up on Nano a little bit below $2 the other day. It's at 166 right now. And I'm looking to see if I can find other capital to pick up and acquire more Nano myself, because Nano just keeps coming back in my head. There's not too many coins right now. I'm not trying to shill, just letting you guys know. I thought it was the first thing that came to my mind when I was reading this really interesting article, that companies are starting to kind of fight back against this and looking for alternative solutions. Nano is one of the only feeless currencies out there that's instantaneous, and it keeps bouncing back in my head. Now, the reason it keeps bouncing back in my head as well is in regards to price action. And I've been spending a lot of time analyzing the old price action of Bitcoin. And I've been going back and kind of studying some of the past movements to look for correlations for the market right now. But I kept coming back to the 2011 chart. And it reminded me of my old days, because I found out about Bitcoin for the first time back here when it was around $3. And on the exchange I was looking at, it only showed me the trade history back here, and it was like at $3. And I'm like, back then, as you all probably know with my story, I was like, who would pay $3 for digital currency? This must be a scam, because I didn't understand blockchain, I didn't understand cryptocurrencies, and I was a trader at the time. And someone myself, again, I was a contrarian to traditional markets. I wanted to look for something that was alternative, but I just didn't get it. Well, anyways, if you take MT Gox, or Mt. Gox, as many people know, on the MT Gox exchange, you have a really good long-term price history of Bitcoin, where it was even trading for a few pennies, and you can get pretty much the full length of Bitcoin's price history. But interestingly enough, I love how this chart resembles the same kind of dramatic exponential run-up and drop that I find here in Nano's chart over the past year, where valuations became, to a pretty decent degree, and have now come down towards around 222 million, with Nano trading at $1.66. So, with having the max supply, no mining or anything like that, I don't know. Again, Nano, I keep coming to it. I've never seen a community so excited about the project and the currency underlying. And Nano's not perfect. It's got some attack vectors that I'm concerned about. Not to mention as well, there is some issues with the distribution. It was done through a faucet, and some people got in early and got a lot of Nano. So because I think there's some things that are they're flawed in regards to the currency, but I'd love to get you guys' opinion on Nano, what you think about it. I like it personally, but I'm gonna keep an eye on it and stuff. If it drops down to $1, boy, I'll probably be stacking up on some. It just feels like, to put it in perspective, it feels like my days when I saw Bitcoin at $3 and I turned it off. Turned off the idea. Tone lock. No, I actually have increased my position on Nano. Milad, I mean, I would say we could say the same thing for Bitcoin. Bitcoin must have been a pump and dump if it went from 89 cents to $31 and down to $2. I mean, assets can move in very speculative nature when they're early markets. That's just the way things are, guys. doesn't mean something's a pump and dump. Pump and dump usually looks something like this, where it comes back down, or usually actually below the mean. Whereas this set higher levels. Bitcoin every time would set higher levels after every correction. You know, it would still continue moving higher for the most part. Well, unless you're on Mt. Gox there. Whoops. Yeah, not good for Mt. Gox holders. Chris Shaman said Hester Pierce was on CNBC today and said she will be pushing for a pass on the CBOE, the Chicago Board Options Exchange Bitcoin ETF. Yeah, Chris, I really loved what she had to say, and she spoke like a real regulator at the SEC. You know, someone looking out to make sure that they don't cut out opportunities for retail investors. Their whole job is to look out for them. You know, and whether you like the SEC or not, you know, that's the main purpose stated by the SEC. So I really like what she had to say. She had a good, fair, balanced approach. But at the same time, I think she needs to understand why the Winklevoss twins got their ETF rejected. There's pretty decent sense. John, same thing you have for Nano, I have for Dragon Chain. Yeah, I've heard a little bit about Dragon Chain. And I know there's a pretty extensive community around it as well. Let's see here. Orion, I mean, it's funny you brought up this point here about Nano's problems, nodes, too much control, whales, centralization, court cases, BitGrail. Kind of feels reminiscent, doesn't it? BitGrail, Mt. Gox, hack with Bitcoin, nodes having too much control. Well, I guess you could say there's some issues. If you have too much centralization of the actual currency, there can be a risk for, say, a 51% attack, because it's delegated proof of stake. But I mean, you know, as the currency will become hopefully more distributed over time, I think that'd be less of a worry. And it's pretty well distributed now that it's been on large exchanges like Binance, and the team has worked pretty actively as well to reduce their share. So I mean, I don't worry about it too much. Not to mention, if you have a large weighted stake, it's kind of like, you know, proof of work. If you're one of the large miners on the network and you own a lot of the currency, not really, you know, cost effective to pull a 51% attack. But again, it's just my opinion. I think that I'm more excited about the technology rather than the currency itself. We got Chef in here. How you doing, Chef? Hope to see you on Discord. I'll hop on there for a little bit after. Maybe we'll probably do a little bit over the live stream. Love to have you on. Guy G, Nikki, the real Satoshi Nakamoto. Guy G, I'm nowhere as smart as Satoshi Nakamoto. I don't have half the brain cells that Satoshi Nakamoto has, but I do understand why his technology is fantastic and why it was a great first step towards revolutionizing the monetary system and currency in general. VRAB Buck, Nick, if they approve the Bitcoin ETF, what do you think will happen with alts over the coming weeks? Exactly what happened over the preceding months to December. You're going to have a Bitcoin run up, altcoins won't be able to keep up, and then after Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ETF fuzz, you know, kind of goes down. We start to see the real first correction and resistance for Bitcoin, flow to alts, and then you'll hit alt season. Cryptonomicon, thank you very much. Hope all is well with you as well, my friend. Sorry, I've been noticing I've been slurring on my words a little bit because I think I'm still hit by this jet lag. Nice to have you back as well, Chef. I appreciate the warm welcome. Leander from the Philippines, nice to have you on. Let's see. D-Gold, I heard Coinbase had opened up transaction services for GBP. A Fedora and crypto's cheap. Clearpole shill. Yeah, Clearpole. There's some people. It's funny. I know a decent amount of people who are fanatics about Clearpole. I remember figuring it out pretty early on. Someone mentioned it to me around like 2 or 3 million, and then it obviously propped up. All right. John Cardwell wanted me to take a look at the Bitcoin chart over the past 3 days. Yeah, I mean, again, this is exactly what we've been talking about, guys. What we wanted to see here over the next few days, a correction down onto the line of resistance, now becoming hopefully support. And we've dipped down below 2 times every time it rebounds back up. Exactly what we want to see. Not to mention, previous resistance becomes new support. You know, everything's aligning here. This is really nice to see. And you've also got as well, go ahead and modify the value here. You can see 100-day has come down to provide very healthy support. Look at that right there, hanging right above the 200, or excuse me, the 100-day. Again, this isn't the resistance point I'm worried about. I'm worried to see what's going to happen here at the first Fibonacci level when we're testing the big even at 9,000. This is exactly what we want to see. And it's so funny. Instantly people flip bullish and flip bearish and everything, guys, on Twitter and on crypto YouTube and stuff, right when we see a 5 or 6% move, when in reality we moved from 5,800 all the way up to 8,400. That's a very nice run up for a matter of what? Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Pretty good. That's the kind of stuff we saw back here, you know, during the bull run we had last year, and that was something unlike we've ever seen before. So it's good to see Bitcoin holding on moving averages like the 100-day and starting to change momentum. Cigar, I don't know what percentage I'm specifically down, but I can definitely say, because I didn't sell my crypto and went more into Bitcoin, I did much better than those who didn't follow my kind of point of view that alts were going to correct in December and January because I was in Bitcoin. And along with that as well, I'm definitely obviously down on some of my stuff. The reason why is, to be fair with you all, I was pretty clear that both Bitcoin and altcoins were correcting back in December, but I didn't want to stress over trading. But along with that as well, I have kind of a moral obligation to crypto, guys. I hate the idea of cashing out. You know, it seems kind of contrary to what I personally believe in, you know, staying away from traditional currency. And any opportunity I get on dips, I take traditional currency and I put it into crypto when it's a fair deal. Lorenzo, my first live stream with Data Dash. Just wanted to say you're a true inspiration in this space, Nicholas. Please keep rocking the crypto 411 for us. Thank you very much, Lorenzo. I appreciate it. Glad you can make it onto the stream. Yeah, I love doing it, guys. I miss doing streams. Oh God, these headphones are so loose. I got them on the airplane, and they're better than my Apple earbuds because my Apple earbuds, one of the earbuds isn't working. So, and Joe, thank you very much. I hope it wears off too. I'm waiting for the jet lag to go away. Mark Testa QAnon getting real AF. I had read into QAnon. I haven't looked into it as much as other people have, but it was interesting stuff. I'm always a killer for conspiracies. I love it. Yeah, Spanter, sorry. FM84 is awesome. That was actually the first retrowave band I ever listened to. Johnny Reed, can we see Unibright hitting $1? You know, I've been getting a lot of questions recently about, Nick, when are you going to talk about Unibright? When are you going to talk about Unibright? Because I am working as an advisor for them, as I've mentioned to you guys before. I'm a legitimate advisor signed on for, I think the official contract was for 8 months, but my range for advisory roles, if I actually do them, is anywhere from 6 to 12 months. And I'm working on a relatively weekly basis on them, keeping up with the project, working my best to get as much things as I can for them. We've got some awesome partnerships we can't talk about right now in regards to specifics, but as we've been talking about, we have an exchange protocol that will be announced soon. It's just a matter of waiting for their PR teams to get ready. I mean, you have to get these things prepared. All right, let's see here. Aegis, how you doing, PO? Nice to see you from you, man. Bangkok was awesome. I had a great time during the trip. It was definitely different from Chiang Mai. Yeah, I mean, it was just, going from a city of like 200 to 300,000 people to, I think, 6 or 8 million people. It's crazy. The street food was awesome. People are great. We stayed in a really nice hotel where the conference was, and I got to meet Box Mining, Shil Nai, a Twitter personality in the crypto space, Bo from Cryptocurrency Australia. I got to meet South Korea's biggest YouTuber, Spunky. It was a really nice conference in regards to speakers. Got to meet Tom Lee, who's always on CNBC, and some big people who work in the OTC space and who are launching their own projects. Really cool stuff. D Gold, thank you very much for the comment on the haircut. Hope you're doing as good as well, Aegis. Yves, thank you. I'm happy to be back. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Hi, Nick. What would happen to Bitcoin? Joe asks, what would happen to Bitcoin and altcoins if the ETF decision gets delayed to September 24th? And if Bitcoin dumps, how long do you think it will realistically drop? Joe, my whole kind of thought process for Bitcoin here is, I'm really kind of looking to see if we're going to hold on the 100-day here, because if we don't, I'm not panicking by any regard. I'd much rather us just simply hold along this line, because what I think is going to happen is that people, for example, people realize that we pushed off the SEC specifically had pushed off any decision on the ETFs until September. It's not exactly true. They have one that's going to be on August unless they push that back. However, the fact of the matter is that I think you're going to see price continue to decline down here. Now, if it gets delayed further, I don't think that's going to scare people. I think it's actually going to build confidence, because the SEC isn't deciding, all right, we have enough to be absolutely, fearful of the idea of passing this. Let's just outright reject it. That's why I think the news of pushing back towards September is really good. I think people don't understand that, an outright rejection would be far worse. The fact that they're saying, give us some extra time to look into this. The complexities that go into building an ETF are very, very important. And there's something you have to factor in when you're talking about these major shifts in the market and getting approved and getting disapproved. So to not be too wishy-washy, first off, thank you, Joe, for your donation and stuff. To answer your question, if it were to get delayed towards September 24th, I don't think it would have much of an effect on price. I think price would just remain relatively stagnant, or some of the momentum that people were going to factor into Bitcoin would probably be reduced. I don't think you're ever going to see Bitcoin down towards, below $6,000 anytime soon. You might see price ride along here and test somewhere towards this region, very much like what we saw back here. So I can load the chart here in 2014, where we hold relatively above the lows that we're holding support, which is 400, and we break past the line of resistance, or we ride off the line of resistance that was previous resistance and is now support. I'll go ahead and draw that out real quick. Let me go ahead and there we go. Oh, sorry. There we go. There's the points of resistance. So we can see the weight of price being held down, and then Bitcoin gets above it, rides along the line of resistance, and then has the rally here. And we might have a continuation if an ETF actually gets passed. If not, I think you're going to have a repeat of price action where it rolls back over and we go towards lower levels, say $4,000 or $5,000. But I got to tell you, I'm an optimist compared to most people. I'm a contrarian. And I got to say, the fact that they pushed back an ETF proposal to September seems pretty interesting to me. And there's going to be one in August as well. I'll see if I can get the list of all the ETFs here in a little bit. Crypto Llama, make Data-Discord great again. Yeah, seriously, guys, hop into the Discord and stuff. If you guys need a link, maybe Aegis or someone can toss another one in there. I've got it right here. Actually, I can go ahead and spam it a few times for you guys. Frank Turner, you have to hit the gym hard to get through the... I'm actually going to be hitting the gym up later to get through the jet lag. Let's see here. Yeah, it's interesting, Rube. I found out about BAB very early on because I'm a big person when it comes to helping the unbanked, have a way into building a financial gateway. And BAB was very interesting. The fact that they got a license was pretty fascinating. Tommy Moss, smash up the likes. I was feeling doing like this, the Superman, smash up the likes. Yeah, you usually don't hear me begging about smashing up the likes. That's not my style, but the reason why I don't do it is because I hope you guys would just do it if you like the content. But the second thing as well is it doesn't help you in the YouTube algorithm. It's a big misconception that people thought was the truth for like the past few years. So let's see. Pied Piper ETF eminent. All right, trying to scroll through here, catch up a little bit. Crypto Llama got shouted out. Robert G, are you still bullish on Icon and Sub? As always, guys, you know I've got my opinions on these things. Guys, you're in research. Sub, yeah, I still love long term. One of the few projects that's actually kept to their promises and is delivering a real product. And also building out almost an ecosystem with crypto pay and a few of the other things coming down the line. Icon as well. I think most of the protocols have been relatively stagnant, guys. I think the market's kind of drained of protocols at the moment. But Icon at these levels are definitely much better than obviously where they were a few months ago. It's cheaper. Malad, no, I don't think governments would kill Bitcoin or crypto. First off, they can't unless they shut down the internet. It's way too distributed in the sense of the amount of nodes and the amount of miners in the network. Now, if all the mining hash powers in China, different story. But, you know, you want to, if everything's distributed, no, they can't kill crypto like that. But the whole thing about killing cryptos, if they wanted to do it, they would have done it years ago. You know, they would have shut down Bitcoin when it was a few bucks. You know, but again, it's very hard to do that. You really can't shut down the network. Doomsday Man said, Datadash, check out the weekly chart Bitstamp and place the Fibonacci from 0 to top. You'll see that $7,500 resistance from November is now being tested as support. Interesting. I'll look into that later on. Let's see. Tag with all these currencies. You have a lot of people selling right after currency's gone from 30 to, you know, you're talking about the dump with Nano. It's been from $30 to $1.80. Like, I wouldn't be selling my Nano now, but some people do, you know. There's always a buyer on, you know, each side. There's a buyer and seller on each side. I get eager when prices are cheap. And I like Nano as a currency. It's cool. I've been showing it to everyone. Oh, I'm so happy. I actually got the mobile wallet. Hold on. Oh god, I'm having to stretch. I finally got the Nano wallet on my phone. And it's not the most beautiful wallet. It's a simple wallet. But I've been doing these simple... I don't actually store any of my Nano on there. But I've got these little transactions I've been passing back and forth, showing people how the Nano wallet works and how fast it is. Man, it's such a cool experience that you can do that on a mobile phone now, to actually have a feeless, instantaneous currency on a mobile phone. That's what excites me as a payment solution. But Colm, my good man from the Discord, asked, any other conferences you're planning on attending? I'm going to take a break from conferences for now, guys. I've got some, like there's one in Singapore in September that I was looking at, and I've got one in October, I think, but I want to take a good probably 1 to 2 months away from doing the conferences. We might do a few things here in the US, which I'll announce on the channel as soon as possible, but nothing official. Clifton, there was a lot of people who had a lot of Nano, and they're closing out of it because they think it's probably going to go to zero, as many people say with crypto. Yeah, Alan Greenspan is Satoshi. I don't know about that. Alan Greenspan isn't smart enough to probably go browse Facebook. He's worked a lot of monetary policy, but I don't think he's smart tech wise. And it's not the perfect person to talk about when talking about monetary policy. Let's see here. I think I'll answer a few more questions, and then we'll dive into having some people on the Discord. Andrew, yes, I bless your Nebula bags. No, Bernard, the reason here, let me make a case. So a lot of people look and kind of like okay, so the question of a government being able to shut down crypto, could the government make crypto illegal tomorrow? Yeah, they could. They make drugs illegal, they make a variety of things illegal. Doesn't make them go away. In fact, it makes them used for a lot more illicit things. Think Silk Road, criminal activity, again, the list goes on. It's generally speaking, governments understand that they don't want to shut down or suppress this technology or build a stigma around it. The thing about it, though, if a government were to really be in a position where it needs to censor crypto, it'd be when crypto's going mainstream. And what's probably going to cause crypto going mainstream? A currency crisis. And I was having a talk with someone about this. If you're having a currency crisis, if the dollar's collapsing or the euro's collapsing, and people are switching to crypto as an alternative, governments don't hold any weight in that situation. They have no leverage. They may have the guns, they may have the legal authority, but what happens is when you can't pay your soldiers in your worthless dollars because they're not taking it anymore and they want to be paid in Bitcoin, well, how do you keep on maintaining your level of enforcement? The whole thing about the dollar is that it's the pure purchasing power of the government through the tax revenue it collects. In the case where they'd want to actually shut it down as it being a real threat would be when their dollar becomes worthless. That's why during a currency crisis, I'm more than excited about cryptocurrencies and their security long term, because there's not going to be a way to shut them down. Governments are going to lose their authority, so there's not going to be a soldier to point a gun at my head and say stop using crypto when a government can't pay its soldiers. A good example of this, I'll actually say, was it? Oh yeah, no. It was with Venezuela, as a very similar case to that. So I'll maybe talk about that sometime as the analogy on the channel. Go a little bit more deep into explaining that. Lawrence, thank you very much for having me back. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be on the stream. Leander, good point there. Criminalizing things. Oh God, criminalizing things is just a green flag for bad players to come in and create a black market. Very true. People will get around technologies. It'd be best to let them expand and be used for good things, kind of like the internet was. The internet started out as a tool for criminals, very extensively, and for internet pornography. And look at it now. We now share cat images and, all kinds of good stuff that doesn't harm anyone. Venezuela is a perfect example of a currency crisis. Well, yes, exactly. Hopefully that point makes sense. I'm not trying to be smart or anything, just trying to make a good case for it. Igor, no, I have not heard about Initiative Q. It's not a crypto. John Doe. IRS ditches fiat collection. Now collects 5 gallons of blood from each citizen by due date. That's funny. The globalists have decided that they can no longer suck value out of people's cash that they work so hard and tirelessly to earn as it continues to inflate. So they've decided to go about collecting the blood of the citizens to feed on and continue the fueling of their large global economic system. Akshay asked, what inspired you to name the channel Data Dash? I was originally actually going to make this a data analytics channel. It wasn't supposed to be cryptocurrency related. If you guys want proof of that, you can go look back. It's not only in my name, Data Dash, to answer your question, but you can go back on my channel and see that I did a tutorial on SQL and data analytics. Kept it up there. AS, thoughts on Rootstock? I'm interested to see what comes out of Rootstock. I think it's a big game changer for the Bitcoin community in that sense, to have a smart contract layer over the Bitcoin network. The only thing I'm concerned about is they are raising a lot of money, but we'll have to see, you know, if they're worth what people are paying. Most ICOs are raising more than they should right now. Is the internet not doing well, guys? I apologize if it's sputtering in and out. But anyways, yeah, we're gonna go ahead here, guys, and hop on the Discord. I'm getting a phone call here. Hold on one sec. Hey, sorry guys, I had a friend call real quick. Let's see here. But yeah, I'm sorry if the stream's lagging, guys. C did a very important phone call. It wasn't Satoshi or anything, or the Bogdanovs. I just gotta go on Binance real quick and get rid of some coins, guys, because no specific reason. It wasn't like, you know, I got the call or anything. Just kidding, it's mom. Kevin, what could cause a collapse of the US dollar? The underlying flaws of the US dollar. Every fiat currency works the exact same way. It's a different logo with a different country backing it. Scary Terry, I apologize. There's a lot of... I like your name because I know where it comes from. It comes from Rick and Morty, but... I didn't see your comment. I apologize. There's a lot of comments coming in. The pizza guy stuck at his huge front gate. Daniel, maybe back in December or January I would have had a huge front gate, but I got a little like stone path to the door. Crypto Sudoku, damn it. The Daily Hate phone. Nick, this is Jamie Dimon. I'm ready to buy Bitcoin. Oh, was it Bogdanov? You know what? I'm really depressed by the fact that we haven't seen a continuation. I guess it's gonna not be until we probably get the ETF announcement when we get some massive green candle. I wanna see the next Bizonacci sequel between Smedum and the Bogdanovs. He might save the day. Matthew, we don't use US dollars, we use Federal Reserve notes. Very true. Well, Action wants me to do my Obama impression when I'm a little bit jet lagged and I've got a little bit of scratchy throat. But, you know, at this important moment, when Bitcoin is holding on serious support, we have to ask, can it hold? You know, this is going to be a very key moment. All of us are depending on it. We're hoping that some old rich institutional guys will create an ETF and go buy some. Put a little bit in maybe Michelle's portfolio. Might be a good move. A little bit of exposure to Bitcoin. A little exposure to gold. Equities. Maybe some bonds. And when those bonds fail, you can acquire more crypto. I'd say possibly Verge might be an ETF. Who knows? All right. Dead presidents. Well, if you want me to do a dead president, I can do John F. Kennedy. Now, I did not have any sexual relations with Marilyn Monroe. Do not look at that. We're going to be taking a look at some cryptocurrencies today. Very fantastic. Bitcoin holding here on 7,600. I love this currency. It's very American. All right. T Southern Fire. I'm glad you guys like it. There's one other accent I was doing the other day. Just for hell of it. What was I doing the other day? Damn, I can't remember. If it comes back to my head, I will do it, because I was doing a killer impression on something the other day. Well, I almost feel like I need to do like a raspy Bill Clinton voice because he joined the Ripple, or he's going to speak at one of the Ripple events. Matthew Ferrari, you didn't create that. Little expression of communism is what he wants. That's funny. I wish I could do a better Trump. To me, it sounds like I'm probably doing it more than anything. Can get the hand gestures down, because I personally struggle with that. I would not even give Trump crap for that. Like, I have, like, see, I'm doing it right now. I use hand gestures all the freaking time. Yeah, it was very much a Trump and Kennedy impression. I will say that. Oh, I actually, you know, if my voice wasn't so raspy right now, I actually can do Morty from Rick and Morty pretty well. I don't know if I can try it. Oh, gee, Rick, I don't know if we should do this. This sounds like a bad idea. I almost got stabbed in the eye last time we went on an adventure. Yeah, I can't really do it as much as I used to. Bill Clinton on our XRP. Let's see here. Maybe I can do a little. Well, no, my voice is way too raspy to do Bill. And I'd probably just, every time I'm going to probably mention something about Monica Lewinsky if I bring up Bill Clinton, and that's that's probably not good. I can tell you all, Ripple is looking fantastic at these levels. It's down to 44 cents. It's very huge, I can tell you. I know my son Baron, he's great with computers, and I can tell you, he's been telling me, Dad, you should totally check out this Ripple thing. And I tell him, I'm not a big fan of the banks, but 44 cents, that's an absolute bargain. I'm going to take a $1 million loan. Buy this up, believe me. Carlos Matos. Alright guys, we need to stop with the impersonations. I think I might scare some people off. I like to do some fun things during the live stream. Scary Terry, Scary Terry. Ryan Donahue, hey Nick, opinion on the ETF being a bad thing because it'll cause more centralization and essentially steer in the opposite direction of what crypto stands for. Ryan, I don't think that's really the case. Again, I understand it's very much common for all of us to instantly see anything institutional involvement or crypto is bad. A Bitcoin ETF actually doesn't lead to more centralization; it leads towards distribution. So, excuse me, throat made like a weird noise. Let me go ahead and explain this. So, the reason why I recently wrote my Medium article to the SEC. If you haven't read that, definitely recommend you read it. This actually explains how if you were to have an ETF, you could take what a lot of these large whales have, which is hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, if not millions, and back that behind a physically backed ETF, being the first player, whether it's the CBOE or the VanEck ETF, and distribute that into millions of portfolios. So, again, people would have the shares backed by this physical Bitcoin inside their brokerage account. And now, instead of one whale owning all this Bitcoin, you have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, with 1% exposure in their pension fund. Seems pretty nice. It actually distributes ownership. Now, it's not people using Bitcoin in the way that it was intended. Yeah, true. But many people who invested in Bitcoin, look at Bitcoin right now. The people who are investing in Bitcoin, people aren't asking me, hey Nick, take a look at the transaction chart of Bitcoin. They're saying, no, take a look at the price of Bitcoin. We can't be, looking at the negative of one other side of things and then not be critical on ourselves. Bitcoin itself is going to be seen as a speculative asset, a digital asset over the next few years until the price stabilizes and it becomes mainstream, until we hit the S curve. And then I think you can see Bitcoin possibly, if it can scale, being used for transactions, or other cryptocurrencies will take its place. Hopefully that answers your question. Kim Jong-un. It was so funny. Until I saw some speech with Kim Jong-un in it recently, I had no idea what he sounded like. I had always seen these photos, and I was like, what's his voice sound like? Oh, sorry, someone was wanting the Discord. Absolutely. Here's the link, guys. G Torres said, Bill Clinton will be so disappointed when he finds out the truth. He's there to talk about a company called Ripple, not to talk about nipples. That's the best comment I've read on the live stream, and probably, well, I haven't been doing live streams, I guess, over the past month, but that's the best comment I've read in a while. Good one. Oh, man. Ryan, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Jacob, yeah, I've looked a little into 8chan. I can't talk about it personally, but I do love Nim and Nulls for the easy onboarding, especially Nim. Nim's probably one of the best positioned. Let's see. I feel like smart contracts could easily fix the voter fraud issue, but barely anyone on Capitol Hill even knows what they are. Well, Milad, yeah, you could have... I don't think it'd be so much smart contracts. It would be a blockchain, and you'd be signing. It'd be kind of like in a transaction value. I'd send assign my private key in a sense tied to my identity, and then I would submit that towards a specific candidate, local, state, federal. You can use blockchains for governance systems, but you need an ID system tied to it. And when you're involving that, and you don't have a specific way outside of that to guarantee that the individual is tied to that identity, that there's no voter fraud going on, a blockchain doesn't really help you outside of people just writing fake votes. But again, it's very hard to, even on a paper ballot, to do something like that. But then again, I think blockchain does help in that sense. It's finding a way to match identity very clearly and make sure that identity has only voted once, and that person is alive and that person is a U.S. citizen, which it seems like for some reason we don't want to implement a lot of those very simple tracking mechanisms when we do voting. Making sure someone's not a dead person in voting happens all the time. Making sure that someone's a U.S. citizen. There's some areas where they don't check for that. Let's see here. Hey Nick, greetings from Ireland. Where did you visit over here last time? Damien, I visited into Limerick and Kilkee along the west coast, and I got to go see the Cliffs of Moher. And boy, as always, did the Irish people always give me a good time and treat me like family. Love the community out there. Wonderful people. And had some good Guinness as well. Didn't drink too much, but had a few pints of Guinness. I trade crypto. Yeah, the futures did make Bitcoin's price skyrocket to 20,000. The thing about this, I trade crypto with futures contracts, I didn't say that after futures contracts came out that Bitcoin would continue skyrocketing to 30 or 40,000. I was in the part of December, actually, I was probably one of the only people coming from a market perspective saying, guys, this is pretty crazy. I literally went back the other day and was watching some of my videos from December and January. I was like, this is getting a little bit interesting, guys. I think we need to be careful and cautious at these levels. And it's going to be the same with an ETF. ETF is going to ride up the price. It's going to be a buy the hype, sell the news kind of event, And Bitcoin will hold a higher level when it bottoms out next time over the next year or two. But that's the whole thing, is that the excitement comes in before these products come out. And that's the benefit of owning crypto outside of an ETF in that sense. Not to mention you actually own your crypto. Don't lock say equities as Obama again. I can't even do it right now. Maybe I can come back later on and do it. Guys, all right, so this whole talk about an ETF, no matter if I want an ETF or not, financial institutions, people who create financial products are going to create it whether we like it or not. So for example, I'll give you the analogy gold. Gold is something that gets away from the banks, right? It lets you retain your purchasing power. Oh, look at that. They created a financial product because some people were willing to sell their gold and they were able to make a financial product. Or some, for example, made gold futures or gold ETFs that don't actually have the physical backed gold behind them. So, we can't stop that. It's just going to happen. I think more than anything it's good because it's going to offer the opportunity to take away some large whales with hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin that are massive miners, and to be able to distribute that amongst a lot of people. Seems like a pretty good thing, especially for people who probably will never buy Bitcoin another way, Rafi, I know some people who are down more than 95%. You're not the only one. Don't worry, my friend. Do not even consider what you commented. Exuberance was the word you used over and over in December. Yeah, Ryan Jones. I don't know if you're the same one talking about the futures. Me talking about the futures contracts, but I used exuberance. Exuberance is a term to be critical. It's a critical term signifying the market isn't being rational. Rationality is subjective, but in the sense of what I'm defining it as is it's like people were acting irrational. They were thinking that this was never going to end, and people were being overtly exuberant. That's the whole point of the quote there. Edgar, what do you think about Neblio? Yeah, I still like Neblio. I covered it early on when most people didn't know about it. And I think not too long ago, I actually tried to reach out to the team, but they didn't get back to me. So, I don't know. Let's see here. AJ asked, when do you think we will see the big currency crisis? I think the larger currency crisis will be sparked when $1, whether it's caused by a black swan event or inevitable, it would be either through some type of economic recession that thereby leads towards people losing trust in the dollar. More likely is with the currency cycles that we've seen with all fiat currencies, where you have growth and inflation, a periodic sense of deflation, and then a sense of hyperinflation. And this happens historically with all fiat currencies for the most part, and what usually inevitably leads to their collapse. So it depends on where those currencies are in the current cycle. There's some good people like Mike Maloney that could probably give you a good trajectory, AJ, to answer that question. But no one knows for sure. Arthur, I completely agree with you. We need more merchants accepting crypto. That's why when I go to pretty much any store, half the time I'll talk to the retailer and I'll say like, hey, do you guys accept crypto? Even if they just blatantly say no, I'll be like, okay, well, do you know about Bitcoin and things like that, and try to break conversation with them without bothering them too much, because I understand most people who work in retail already deal with enough and probably won't have enough leverage to move the store owner to do it. But I try to do it at small businesses. But outside of that, I share crypto with people. I give people $5 or $10 worth of Bitcoin to show them how quick and effective it is. I do it with business owners and people in the banking sector, people who work with building payment solutions for people. Yeah, I mean, we all got to play a role in that, but a lot of people tend not to, for the most part. Let's see. C. Diddy, no, I've actually been wanting to try Augur after seeing all of the excitement around it recently with launching its actual mainnet. All right, guys. I think I'm going to answer a few more questions and cut the stream short tonight, because over the next few days, we're going to have our first feature on the channel. Can't say who it is, but we're going to have our first individual on the Dashcast, where we have our interview with another participant on the live stream. So would definitely want to save some energy for that. Really excited for it, though. But that'll be this Saturday. I'll go ahead and answer one more good question here, and then I'll go ahead and call it a night. Robinhood, I'm glad you like the thumbnail. Yeah, I put some work into that on Photoshop. Whipped that up in 40 minutes. I gotta say, if there's one piece of software I know how to use, it's Photoshop. Calm, that's good that Subway accepts Bitcoin. How many people are spending Bitcoin on Subway, though? That's the question. I haven't shopped to Subway in a while. John Woo, have I personally met Andreas Antonopoulos? No, I haven't, Jun. I've actually I would really love to meet Andreas. I loved his book. I love his talks. Yeah, just really good guy. I agree with him on a lot of things. And I think he's done so much for spreading the word of crypto. A little bit of, focuses pretty heavily on Bitcoin, and I get that. There's a lot of great developments going on Bitcoin, but I mean, outside of that, he's just done so much. It's hard to find negative things to say about Andreas. He's really dedicated his life to being like a digital nomad, flying around and preaching the word of Bitcoin. Alpha, hey, I'm glad you like the work that I do. Thank you very much, my friend. Adam Troy, no, I do not own any actual Dash coin. I trade crypto. Since the U.S. government has the ability to create and burn U.S. dollars as they please, do you think it's plausible that the USD will only collapse if they let it? I trade crypto. It's the same with every government. It ends up that they hyperinflate to meet the needs of the time. And again, it's something that I could detail on a more longer-term video. There's some great books to read that talk about this topic, talk about what happened in Germany. I think it was Germany back in the early 1900s during World War I. Very interesting story about the currency crisis they went through. They had wheelbarrows. God, again, I'm like slurring on my words because of my jet lag. Wheelbarrows of cash, much like what you see in Venezuela. And it's history repeating itself because the money doesn't change. It's just a matter of time frame and catalysts that cause it. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and do one last. Let's do one last little thing here. Warner, so how far are banks and institutions to adopting crypto, like building infrastructure to get crypto into their portfolios to offer it to customers to invest? Warner, when an ETF comes out, so long as their banks don't say downright, you cannot offer this to clients unless asked or something like that, which they're not going to do because that would cut off some of their clients. I can tell you if a person wanted to have 5 or 10% exposure to crypto in their portfolio and they expect a bank to manage it and the bank says, sorry, we won't do that, then people will go to another bank. So I don't think you're going to see any kind of rejection. All it really requires is an ETF. So that's the point when things change. People will be able to put it in their pension funds. George, I'll have to look into that one. All right. Well, anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here on the live stream. It's been a good hour-long live stream. We'll definitely be doing some more later on in the week, one on Friday, and then also on Saturday we'll be having our interview with another participant on the Dashcast, the first ever actual official episode of the Dashcast. Really excited for that. But until then, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of the night. Stay safe, stay smart, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay tuned.